Hey guys, so today's video is going to be my A&E experience. I've been twice, so I'll talk about both times. One was better than the other. They weren't amazing experiences, but that's mainly down to the receptionist and some other stuff, which I will go into. So, first time I went, I was 17, and I went for my self-harm. I was terrified. I was literally shaking so much. It was awful. I thought I was going to pass out. So obviously when you go into an A&E, they ask you what you're there for. So I had to try and say to her very discreetly, because there was a queue of people behind me and I was terrified. So I said to her discreetly that it was for the self-harm. And the way she just looked at me, I can't even explain how she looked at me. It was so awful and so downright rude. I felt like I was being really put down, and she made me feel so crap about myself. And then she just said, right, okay then. But really sarcastically. And that probably doesn't make sense to you guys, but at the time I was shaking. I thought I was going to pass out. And nobody was listening to me. And then I go and tell her that the reason I'm there is for self-harm. And she was just like, right, okay then. And it was almost like she said, well, you've done it to yourself. You don't really need any help. That was the impression that I got. So I didn't have to wait too long, which was good. She got me to fill a little sheet out just to, because it was the first time I'd gone to the A&E department for my mental health. So I had to do that. And then literally 10-15 minutes, which is really, really good, a nurse came out. She had to check my self-harm cuts, and she had to clean them and bandage it up because well, you need to clean them out. And although I'd already done that, it was to keep it on the safe side because they looked like they were getting infected. Yeah, luckily I didn't need any stitches, which was what I was worrying about. So that was a good thing for me, and she bandaged it up, and then I was sent home. So from that first experience, it was half and half. I had an awful reception when I went in. You know, the receptionist was awful and she was just being very rude, and even when I sat down waiting, I could see her kind of looking over at me and then whispering to her colleague, and you could, one of those things where you can tell that they're talking about you, and because you're not physically showing any symptoms and they can't see what it is, it's like they were saying that I was kind of doing it for attention, which was not the truth at all. And I was feeling more and more uncomfortable. I didn't really want to be there, but my doctor sent me over. And I was just like, I hate this, I don't want to be here. And I felt almost claustrophobic. I felt the room was getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And yeah, so as I was saying, my first experience, it was good and bad. As I was saying, like, the reception was not good, but the nurse was really nice. And she didn't look at me as if I was an awful person for doing this to myself, or she wasn't judging me. All she's kind of said to me, she said, "That looks really sore." She said, "Let me just clean these out and it'll be all okay." And she didn't say anything nasty. She was really nice, which I was really happy about, because I don't think I'd have been able to cope if I'd had a nurse that was being awful as well. So the second time I'll tell you about, before I say anything, I know my godmum watches my videos. She watches literally everyone. So the next thing I'm going to tell you about is something I've never told anybody for my A&E experience. This is going to be really hard for me to talk about because I don't know. But I'm doing this to help other people as well, to kind of just share my experience of what happened with me. So this was like 2 years ago now, so this was when I was I just turned 19, or I was coming up for 19 anyway, and I was having thoughts of suicide. And it actually got really bad one night, and I phoned my doctor, and my actual doctor that I would have preferred to see, who I normally see for everything, wasn't there, and I got really panicky, and although she had actually explained to me if she wasn't there to just get them to put me through to another doctor, so I had to do that. I got an emergency appointment and I went straight in, and the doctor that I saw had to do like an assessment to see how bad I was, and she sent me to A&E, and I went straight to A&E, and luckily this time I just said to the receptionist that I'd had a referral from my doctor, so they're really good, and they got me to take a seat in the waiting room, and then about 10-15 minutes later a nurse came out and called me through, because they needed to ask me some questions before they could get anybody else to see me, and she went over kind of my suicidal thoughts and everything, and so she could write it down, and then sent me back out, and then, I'm not kidding you, I was sat in that waiting room for 5 hours. It may have even been 6 hours, and it was awful. Although there was a really nice girl that came in who actually had bipolar, and I literally sat and chatted to her for ages, because she was waiting as well for a psychiatric nurse person to come through. I think it's a psychiatric liaison to come and talk to her, and somebody has to come talk to me. So we were just kind of chatting to each other about like our different mental health issues that we were having, and it was really nice to be able to talk to somebody who could understand me on the same level as I was, if that makes sense. She'd actually been brought... Oh yeah, and then the psychiatric liaison came through, and this was probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and she called me through, and I chatted to her for about an hour. She was actually gonna put me into inpatient, and then I don't know why she changed her mind though, and she said I wasn't suicidal enough. So that really pissed me off. because I was sitting there saying to her that I wanted to die and I didn't know if I would be able to cope. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back out there and be okay. I said, because she was getting me to kind of like promise her and say that I would keep myself safe. And I said, no, I cannot promise that I can keep myself safe. It's not a promise that I was able to make. But she still sent me home. And she said, if things get worse, call this number. And I was like... And also she had to talk to me about my self-harm. Because I'd already been in, like, the year before. And as it happened, she had to sort something out with my self-harm as well, because I guess you could say I'd forgotten to kind of clean out my cuts and wounds and stuff. So she had to do that as well. I mean, she was really good to talk to, don't get me wrong, but I would think I was just a little bit annoyed that she was just sending me home after I was telling her that I wasn't able to promise her that I could keep myself safe. It was something that I wasn't prepared to do, but she was still okay with sending me home. And yeah, pretty much she sent me home. So I guess that's the end of my A&E experience. And I didn't know why I was feeling like it. All I really knew was that I was feeling like it, and there wasn't really a lot I could do about it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will then see you in another video. Bye guys.